Forget what your real estate agent told you about buying in Florida, because billionaire entrepreneur Mark Cuban just issued a warning that should terrify every homeowner in South Florida. And it's not about interest rates. It's not about home prices. It's not even about hurricanes. Home insurance in areas hit by repetitive disasters is going to be the #1 housing affordability issue over the next 4 years, and possibly going into the midterms, more so than interest rates. Florida, in particular, is going to have huge problems. And in the next 7 minutes, you're going to discover why one of America's smartest investors believes Florida's insurance crisis will destroy more wealth than any other factor in real estate. Because right now, 1 in 5 Florida homeowners have no insurance, are underinsured, or are self-insuring. Insurance rates have jumped 70% in 5 years, and the number of people who can't even get private coverage has exploded by 400%. This isn't a prediction, this is already happening. And if you own property in Florida, if you're thinking about buying in Florida, or if you're trying to sell in Florida, what I'm about to show you will completely change how you see the next 4 years. Let me take you back to 2019. You're a Florida homeowner. You're living the dream. No state income tax, year-round sunshine, beautiful beaches. Your insurance? Maybe $3,000 a year. Not cheap, but manageable. You factor it into your budget and move on with your life. Fast forward to 2024, same house, same neighborhood, same everything. But your insurance bill? Now it's $10,996. That's the average in Florida, according to the National Association of Realtors. The highest in the entire country. Not by a little bit, by a lot. Louisiana is second at $6,354. Florida is almost double. But it gets worse. Some homeowners are paying $15,000, $17,000, $20,000 annually. That's $1,600 per month just for insurance, on top of your mortgage, on top of your property taxes, on top of your HOA fees. And here's the cruel twist. You made every upgrade insurance companies asked for. New roof, impact windows, hurricane shutters, everything. And your premium still tripled. Because this isn't about your house anymore. This is about Florida as a whole. And insurance companies have decided that Florida is uninsurable at any reasonable price. A Florida resident posted on Blue Sky describing the crisis perfectly. Here in Florida, we have a housing crisis of our own. Developers are building affordable homes all around, but many are sitting empty because people can't afford the necessary home insurance. Mark Cuban responded directly, and his response should wake up every politician, every homeowner, and every real estate professional in the state. Because Cuban isn't just some random billionaire. He's a guy who built his wealth by understanding markets, understanding risk, and understanding when systems are about to break. And he's telling you, Florida's insurance market is breaking right now. Let's talk about the number that should terrify you. Between 15 and 20% of Florida homeowners now have no property insurance. None. Zero. They're gambling that nothing bad will happen to their house. Why? Because they can't afford it. Insurance went from $3,000 to $6,000 to $10,000 to $15,000. At some point, you make a choice. Pay the insurance or pay for food, healthcare, college tuition. And people are choosing to go uninsured. According to WUSF and the Insurance Information Institute, insurance rates rose over 70% in the last 5 years in Florida. 70%. And the number of homeowners who can't get private insurance coverage soared by 400% in that same period. 400%. Let that sink in. Hundreds of thousands of Florida homeowners are being told by private insurance companies, "We won't cover you at any price." And they're being forced into Citizens Property Insurance, the state-backed insurer of last resort, which means Florida taxpayers are on the hook when the next big hurricane hits. And when that hurricane comes, 'cause it will come, what happens to the uninsured homeowners, the ones gambling that disaster won't strike? Insurance expert Shannon Martin from Bankrate called Cuban's statement accurate. She said insurance companies are using AI and technology to pinpoint exactly which homes are at highest risk, and those homeowners are seeing rates go up drastically or losing coverage entirely. Robert Collier from the Consumer Federation of America warned, some uninsured homeowners may expect to receive government disaster assistance, but government assistance is less generous than many people believe. FEMA emergency grants, they average under $10,000 per household. You know what it costs to rebuild a hurricane-damaged home? Try $200,000, $300,000, more. So if you're uninsured and a major hurricane hits your neighborhood, you're looking at financial ruin, foreclosure, bankruptcy, walking away from everything. Now let's talk about why this is happening, because it's not just about hurricanes. It's about a perfect storm of factors that made Florida toxic for insurance companies. Farmers insurance pulled out in 2023, affecting 100,000 policies. State Farm stopped issuing new homeowners and commercial policies in 2023. Allstate scaled back by 20% and stopped writing new policies. Progressive and AAA reduced coverage availability. USAA ceased writing new policies in high-risk areas. And it's not just the big names. Between 2020 and 2023, at least 6 insurance companies went completely insolvent in Florida. United Property and Casualty Insurance, Southern Fidelity, Weston Property and Casualty, all gone, leaving homeowners scrambling to find new coverage at massively higher prices. Here's something most people don't understand. Insurance companies buy insurance for themselves. It's called reinsurance. It's their safety net when disasters cause massive payouts. And the cost of reinsurance has skyrocketed as hurricanes become more frequent, more intense, and more expensive. Why? Climate change. Florida's surrounding waters are warming. Warmer water fuels stronger hurricanes, more destructive storms, more billion-dollar disasters. And reinsurance companies are raising their prices to match the increased risk, which forces insurance companies to raise premiums on homeowners or leave the state entirely. Florida has historically had a massive problem with insurance fraud and excessive litigation. Contractors would go door to door after storms, convince homeowners to file claims, inflate the damages, and sue insurers when they pushed back. This drove up costs for everyone. The state passed tort reform in 2022 and 2023 to combat this, eliminating one-way attorney fees, reducing frivolous lawsuits. And experts say it's helping, but the damage was already done. Insurers lost billions, many went bankrupt, others fled, and the ones that stayed are still recovering financially. So why is Mark Cuban so focused on this? Why does he think insurance will matter more than interest rates over the next 4 years? Because Cuban understands incentives, he understands market dynamics, and he understands politics. Here's what he sees. In 2026, there are midterm elections. Politicians in Florida are going to face voters who are angry, not about interest rates. Those are set by the Federal Reserve, out of state politicians' control. But insurance, that feels like something state governments should fix. And voters are going to demand action. Cuban posted on Blue Sky, insurance in areas hit by repetitive disasters will be the #1 housing affordability issue over the next 4 years, and possibly going into the midterms, more so than interest rates. Florida, in particular, is going to have huge problems. And he's predicting this becomes a political crisis. Governors will be forced to intervene. State legislatures will pass emergency measures. Federal government might step in. Because when middle-class homeowners can't afford to insure their homes, that's not just an economic problem, that's a political emergency. But here's the darker side Cuban isn't saying out loud. If insurance stays unaffordable, people will leave. They'll sell their homes at losses and move to states where insurance is manageable. And that exodus will crash Florida's real estate market faster than any interest rate hike ever could. That's the real threat, not the insurance itself, but the chain reaction it triggers. Unaffordable insurance, people forced to sell, inventory flooding the market, prices collapsing, property values cratering, entire neighborhoods becoming uninsurable and uninhabitable. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because while Cuban's warning is real, there are signs the crisis might be stabilizing. In December 2024, the Florida Chamber of Commerce Annual Insurance Summit reported that premiums have stabilized. Florida's average premium increase in 2025 was just 1.75%, the lowest in the United States. 14 new insurance carriers have entered the Florida market. Existing insurers are growing their book of business instead of shrinking it. In February 2025, Governor Ron DeSantis announced that Citizens Insurance, the state-backed insurer, would reduce rates by 5.6%. After years of increases, that's a major reversal. And it's a direct result of tort reform passed in 2022 and 2023. Mark Friedlander from the Insurance Information Institute told Newsweek, "The financial position of the Florida insurance industry has improved dramatically over the past 2 years due to legislative actions which addressed legal system abuse and claim fraud." So is the crisis over? No, absolutely not. Premiums are still the highest in the nation. Homeowners are still paying 3 times the national average. 1 in 5 Floridians are still uninsured or underinsured. The damage from years of chaos will take a long time to repair. But the trajectory is improving. The bleeding has slowed. Companies are entering instead of leaving. Rates are stabilizing instead of skyrocketing. That's progress. So if you're a Florida homeowner, if you're thinking about buying, or if you're stuck in this nightmare, what can you do? Make every possible upgrade to reduce risk. New roof with wind-resistant shingles, impact windows, hurricane shutters, reinforced garage doors, flood barriers. The My Safe Florida Home program offers matching grants up to $10,000 to help pay for these upgrades, and they can earn you insurance discounts that pay back the investment. Don't just renew with your current insurer. Get quotes from multiple companies every single year. The new carriers entering Florida are competing for business. They might offer better rates than legacy insurers who've been burned by past claims. If you can afford to cover $5,000 or $10,000 in damages out of pocket, raising your deductible can significantly lower your premium. Just make sure you actually have that money saved in case disaster strikes. If you're buying a home, don't just look at the purchase price and mortgage payment. Get an insurance quote before you close. Some neighborhoods have premiums double what nearby areas pay. Location matters, flood zones matter, proximity to the coast matters. The math might seem appealing. Skip $15,000 in annual premiums and bet nothing happens. But one hurricane can cost you everything: your home, your savings, your future. FEMA won't save you. Government assistance won't rebuild your house. Insurance is the only protection. Mark Cuban didn't issue his warning for fun. He issued it because he sees what's coming, and what's coming is a reckoning. Over the next 4 years, Florida will either solve its insurance crisis or watch its real estate market destabilize. Politicians will either find solutions or face voter fury in 2026 and 2028. Insurance companies will either return to profitability and fair pricing or continue retreating from high-risk markets. And homeowners? They'll either adapt to the new reality or be forced out by costs they can't control. Because Mark Cuban is right about one thing: insurance matters more than interest rates now. You can shop for a better mortgage rate. You can refinance when rates drop. But if insurance makes homeownership unaffordable, there's no hack, there's no workaround. You're stuck. Florida isn't dying. The state is still growing. People are still moving here. The economy is still strong. But the insurance crisis is real. The risks are real. And the choices you make in the next 4 years will determine whether you thrive or struggle. So take Cuban's warning seriously. Factor insurance into every decision. Harden your home. Shop your coverage. Build an emergency fund. And stay informed. Because this crisis isn't over. It's just entering a new phase. And the winners will be the people who see it coming and prepare accordingly. That's it for today. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.